What if the only thing standing between you and your greatest potential was a quiet habit you barely noticed? Have you ever felt capable of so much more, yet something invisible kept holding you back? This is the story of a young man, a wise Zen master, and the 6 silent habits that quietly steal our dreams. Once upon a time, in a tranquil village nestled deep within the embrace of towering, mist-covered mountains, there lived a young man named Kato. He was admired for his intelligence, his gentle nature, and his tireless work ethic. People were naturally drawn to him, enchanted by the quiet charisma he carried like a light breeze. But despite his many gifts, there was something that stopped Kaito from gaining the deep respect he longed for, something he couldn't quite shake off. It wasn't his lack of effort or heart. It was a set of 6 invisible habits, each silently eroding his potential, holding him back from becoming the person he was meant to be. The first habit was procrastination. Kaito had a tendency to delay. There's still time, he'd often tell himself, but the time always seemed to slip away unnoticed. Tasks piled up, dreams gathered dust, opportunities that knocked quietly were left unanswered. His friends and family praised his talents, but their eyes often held concern. If only he would just start, they'd say. And Kaito knew. Deep down, he knew. But the will to change, that part never came easily. One quiet morning, burdened by the weight of his own inaction, Kaito made a bold decision. He would seek wisdom from a man known throughout the region, not for power or wealth, but for inner peace and deep insight. An old Zen master living in solitude atop a nearby mountain. Determined, Kaito climbed the winding trail, the air growing thinner as he ascended. When he arrived, the master greeted him not with grand ceremony, but with a soft smile and calm eyes. The temple was humble, the air still, and Kaito felt as if he had stepped into a different world. They sat together on the wooden floor. Kaito spoke openly, pouring out his heart, the frustration, the disappointment in himself, the yearning to earn true respect. The master listened quietly, nodding with the patience of one who had heard many stories like this before. Then, in a voice as steady as a flowing stream, the master said, "Respect is not something you chase from others. It is something you build within. And to build it, you must release what silently holds you down." Kaito leaned in, eyes wide with anticipation. "What must I release?" he asked. "The first," the master said gently, "is procrastination. Each time you delay action, you deny yourself growth. You rob your own future of greatness. Embrace discipline. Meet your responsibilities with presence and intention. The present moment, this one right now, is the only time that truly belongs to you." A spark lit within Kaito's chest. He felt the truth in those words. He wasn't doomed by fate. He was only delayed by his habits. If he could begin to shift even one of them, perhaps everything else might follow. The master continued, "The second habit to release is self-doubt. You must believe in yourself, Kaito. Within you lies the strength to do extraordinary things. But you must trust that strength. Every journey worth taking begins with a step, and you are already on the path." Kaito inhaled deeply. He had always questioned whether he was enough, whether he could truly make a difference. But here, in this moment, he felt a flicker of belief, a new seed of courage taking root. "The third," said the master, "is negative self-talk. The way you speak to yourself shapes your world. Stop being your own harshest critic. Speak to yourself with kindness, with encouragement. the same way you would lift up someone you love. Kaito lowered his eyes. He remembered the countless times he had whispered failure to himself, even before he had tried. But now a new voice was emerging, one of compassion, one he barely recognized as his own. The fourth habit, the master continued, is the fear of failure. Kaito sat silently, his heart still echoing with the master's gentle reminder. Failure is not something to be feared. It was a truth so simple, yet so often forgotten. And now, with new clarity, Kaito was ready to hear more. The Zen master continued, "Embrace failure with an open heart. It is only through failure that we uncover our true strength, our resilience, and the depth of our character." Kaito felt something shift deep inside, as if a burden long carried was finally being set down. He had spent years quietly haunted by the fear of failure, always imagining the whispers of others, the judgment, the shame. But now he saw failure in a different light, not as a dead end, but as a stepping stone, a necessary part of the path. The master let a moment of silence pass before speaking again. "The fifth habit you must release," he said softly, "is the constant need for validation from others. You see, true respect, genuine, lasting respect, does not begin outside of you, Kaito. It begins within. Seek your own approval. Let your values guide you. When you walk your path with integrity, those who truly see will naturally respect and admire you." Kaito's eyes widened slightly, his chest rising with a slow breath. For so long, he had measured his worth through the eyes of others, comparing, competing, always wondering if he was enough in their eyes. Now he understood. His worth had never lived in someone else's opinion. It was already within him, waiting to be recognized. He nodded with quiet conviction. Then the master spoke once more, this time with a calm finality. "And the sixth habit, the last one you must let go of, is the need for control." Kaito listened intently. "Life," the master said, "is like a river. It flows with its own rhythm, sometimes gentle, sometimes wild. The more we try to control its every turn, the more we suffer. Let go of the illusion of control. Surrender to life's unfolding. Trust that the universe carries wisdom far beyond our own. Have faith in the journey, even when it feels uncertain." Kaito closed his eyes and exhaled slowly. Those words landed deep within him. How many times had he tried to control every detail, every outcome, and how often had that left him feeling frustrated and lost? Now he felt a quiet peace rising, an acceptance of not knowing and a willingness to trust. "Thank you, Master," Kaito said, his voice steady with gratitude. "Your words have opened a door inside me. I now understand the path I must take. I will release these 6 habits, one by one, and nurture a new life built on discipline, belief, kindness to myself, courage, inner validation, and surrender." The master smiled, his eyes kind and filled with a deep stillness. "Remember, Kaito, true respect is born when we live in harmony with our values. Walk your path sincerely, and you will not need to chase respect. It will follow you." And so, Kaito began his quiet transformation. He did not become someone new overnight, but day by day, step by step, he made changes that mattered. He practiced awareness. He chose action over delay. He began treating himself with the same kindness he offered others. Slowly, the old habits loosened their grip. His discipline became evident. People began to notice how Kaito, once prone to delay, now approached each task with clarity and calm. They admired his ability to stay focused, to complete things not in haste, but with presence and intention. With growing self-belief, a quiet confidence began to radiate from him, not boastful, but steady. Others felt it and were inspired by it. Where once there was harsh inner judgment, now there was compassion. He had learned to speak to himself as a friend, not an enemy. His thoughts became a source of support rather than sabotage, and it changed everything. When failure came, and it still did, he no longer saw it as defeat. Instead, he welcomed it as a teacher. Each mistake became a lesson, a new step forward. The fear that once held him hostage had transformed into fuel for growth. He stopped seeking approval from others. He stopped chasing applause. And in that space of quiet authenticity, he discovered a sense of freedom he had never known. And finally, he let go. He released the need to control every twist and turn. He stopped trying to predict, to perfect, to push against the current. Instead, he surrendered to the rhythm of life and found peace in the flow. The transformation was not just felt by Kaito, it was seen by all. The villagers noticed. Kaito's transformation did not remain a quiet, personal journey for long. As the days passed, his presence began to speak louder than any words. He had changed, and the village could see it. People now looked at him with new eyes. They didn't just admire his intelligence or appreciate his kind heart. What they saw was something deeper. They saw a young man who had looked inward, faced his own shadows, and walked through them. A man who had shed the habits that once restrained him and emerged stronger, calmer, wiser. There was a stillness in Kaito's demeanor now, a confidence not born from pride, but from clarity. He no longer sought approval. He simply lived with purpose. And that quiet strength drew people in. Word of his journey began to spread, first within his village, then to neighboring towns. People began to share the story of the young man who climbed a mountain to seek wisdom and returned transformed. His story became a whisper of hope in many households, a reminder that anyone, no matter their past habits, could rise beyond their limitations. It inspired others to reflect on their own lives. Could they too let go of procrastination, self-doubt, negative self-talk, fear of failure, the craving for validation, and the need to control everything? As more people heard Kaito's story, a ripple of self-discovery began to move through the community. Men and women who once felt stuck started to ask deeper questions. Some sought Kaito out, hoping to learn from him, and Kaito welcomed them, not as someone who had all the answers, but as someone who had walked the path and knew where the traps lay. He became a quiet mentor to many, a gentle guide. With patience, he shared what he had learned, how to recognize limiting patterns, how to replace them with strength and self-belief, and how to walk forward without needing to be perfect. And he did more than speak. He lived it. Through his actions, his choices, his compassion for others, Kaito proved one simple truth. Anyone can change. Everyone has the power to transform. And true respect? It is earned, not by demanding it, but by becoming someone worthy of it. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, casting a golden glow over the rooftops, Kaito stood quietly on a hill overlooking the village he once called home. He felt something rise within him, not pride, not achievement, but deep, heartfelt gratitude. Gratitude for the Zen master who had opened his eyes. Gratitude for the 6 lessons that changed his life. Gratitude for the journey and the quiet respect he had finally earned, not through perfection, but through perseverance. If Kaito's story has touched your heart or sparked something within you, We warmly invite you to subscribe to the Buddhism Seeds channel for more inspiring stories and timeless wisdom. Like this video, share it with a friend who might need to hear it today, and don't forget to leave a thoughtful comment below. We love hearing from you. Let's grow together, one seed at a time.